opening mantra. Om apyayantu mamangani vak prana chakshushrotram balamindriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuriyam mama brahma nirakaroda nirakarnamastva nirakarna me astu tad atmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaste mai santu te mai santu. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om, may the different parts of my body, my tongue, prana, eyes, ears, and my strength, and also the other sense organs, be nourished. All indeed is Brahman, as is declared in the Upanishads. May I never deny Brahman. May Brahman never deny me. May there never be denial on the part of Brahman. May there never be denial on my part. May all the virtues described in the Upanishads belong to me, who am devoted to Brahman. Yeah. May they all belong to me. Om, peace, peace, peace. So this is the second talk on the Kena Upanishads. Yeah, let's start. So the Upanishad is trying to communicate the subtle truth of the Atman through the dialogue between the teacher and the student. Lot of help and encouragement is given by the teacher, and the disciple also is very earnest in putting into practice the precepts of the Upanishads. Still, the teacher senses that the disciple might not be able to grasp exactly what the Upanishad is trying to. So, in order to remove the least false understanding about the Atman, in the very opening verse itself, the teacher cautions him. So the first mantra of the second part of the Kena Upanishad is Yadi manyase suvedeti dabramevapi nunam tvam vetha brahmano rupam yadasya deveshvatanu mimamsamevate manye viditam. The teacher said, if you think I know Brahman well, then surely you know but little of its form. You know only its forms as conditioned by man or by the gods. Therefore, Brahman even now is worthy of your enquiry. The disciple said, I think I know Brahman. So this is the mantra. The teacher said, if you think I know Brahman well. So when we first try to understand, when we hear the Advaita Vedanta, it seems very easy and we get delighted. It is the simplest philosophy, but the hardest philosophy ever to understand and to get the experience. So naturally, there is every tendency in the sadhaka aspirants to misinterpret or misunderstand. Especially in the beginning, it might not be to that. For example, I am neither the body nor the mind. This sort of discrimination between the self and not self is very easy. But as it goes deeper and deeper, when it comes to subtlest realm, like for example, ego and the consciousness, they're so close, it's hardly difficult for us to discern what actually it is. So there is the tendency of getting mixed up, muddled up. So that is what the teacher is very particular. And he wants the student to understand. Because knowing means very clearly understanding this. It's not like an objective understanding. When we understand an objective world, we very clearly understand. Such sort of an understanding cannot be with Brahman, which is the eternal subject. That's why Brahman cannot be like other tangible objects, be man's object of knowledge. Just like Shankara says, fire. Fire can burn all those things which can be burnt, but it can never burn itself. So the buddhi can understand all that can be grasped within its limit, but it can never know Brahman as how it knows the objective world. And apart from Brahman, there is no other knower. The ultimate knower is the Brahman itself. So a knower can never know. Knower can be, but knower can never know. Just like I see all the faces. What about me? We can't see. We see everything else. We can't see our own. If we want to see, we have to. There's no other way other than to see our reflection. Reflection alone is. So in the same way, this is. So there is no other seer other than the Brahman. And how can he know? The knower can never be known. So this is what the teacher is trying to make the disciple understand. Usually, we make that mistake and we understand the ego or individuality to be the Brahman. That is where Sri Ramakrishna was very particular. He never used to encourage his other devotees and disciples to say, Aham Brahmasmi. But when Narendra said, there's a very, very nice incident in Nag Mahashai and Narendra. At some particular time, it's not in the gospel. Narendra was there and Nag Mahashai also was there. And then Narendra was saying, Shivananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. And Nag Mahashai, Nahang, Nahang, Tuhu, Tuhu. Then Sri Ramakrishna said to Nag Mahashai, when Narendra says Shivoham, he means it. That's it. From then on, Nag Mahashai every time looked upon Narendra as Shiva himself. So when we say Shivoham, which aspect of our being, which aspect of our personality we mean, that has to be understood. And that depends upon the subtlety of the mind, the purity, the clarity of the mind. So many things in one. And above all, decluttering of the mind in the modern language, that's very important. This only then the awareness can be clear. So, hence, that means to say, in the traditional Vedantic thing, Viveka, Vairagya, Sadhan Chatushtaya, with all this, the mind is made sharp, ekagra. We read in the Upanishad, Drishyate agraya buddhya. The Atman is realized by subtle intelligence. So this type of intelligence comes by the practice of the sadhanas over lives, let alone years, over lives after life, it takes. And here, the disciple, so naturally, the sadhaka's mistake. And Shankaracharya gives a beautiful example. Suppose even in the ordinary day-to-day classes, secular education, when the teacher teaches, there are some students who understand it very clearly. What the teacher says, they understand. Some understand it in a twisted manner. Some opposite. And there are some absolutely nothing. So if this can be the state of the human being's understanding of any object, any subject. And what about the subtle truth of the Atman? So there is always chances for errors, mistaken. That is what the here. And he says, the mantra says, very little of it you have understood. The forms that is conditioned by humans and the divinities. We all are Brahman. Brahman conditioned by name and form. We humans. The same with the divinities. Divinities conditioned by name and form. Maybe we have a lot of rajas and tamas. The divinities may have more sattva. That is why they are called as devas, means the bright ones, because it's the nature of sattva to shine. But even that is also conditioned. You will understand it when, from Sri Ramakrishna's example. Sri Ramakrishna says once, Arjuna praised Krishna, saying, "Oh, you are Purna Brahma Sanatan. You are the absolute Brahman." Sri Krishna says, "Oh, I'm absolute Brahman. Come on, I'll show you." He took him to a tree. What do you see? Oh, a huge tree. And black berries hanging. Then Krishna said, "Have a closer look. It's not berries. It's the Krishnas, like me, thousands hanging." So in the tree of absolute, there are thousands of Krishnas coming and going, coming and going. So only fraction of it can manifest itself as a Krishna or a Buddha or a Jesus or anyone. But the whole of infinity cannot be compressed in that. So when we say divine, so very little of the Brahman is comprehended, even in the divinities and in us. That's why very little here. Hence, your understanding of Brahman is subject to investigation. That's why he says, Mimamsa mevate. Your understanding of Brahman is still subject to investigation. Go, think again. So this happens in another Upanishad, Aitariya Upanishad, I think so. The Indra and other, they go, oh no, not Indra. There is some of the great, what do you call, cream of the society. What do you call, very great scholars and big people. They go to Pippalada. And they have come to learn the knowledge of Brahman. Nothing doing. Pippalada says, go and do spiritual practice and practice continence, brahmacharya for an year. They all are established in good morals and everything. Still, when they came to the teacher asks him. So this is how, because you need very, very subtle intelligence, and all unnecessary things from the head has to go away in order to comprehend. You have to give complete attention to it. Popcorn mind won't do. So go, and that's why the teacher says, go and comprehend, think. Your understanding of Brahman is subject to investigation. So the student goes very earnestly, ponders over what the teacher has said. It's not that the disciple is like me and you trying to learn. His understanding of the Upanishad is quite clear, but still there might be some flaw in his understanding. So it's where have I gone wrong? So he goes, thinks again and again, meditates on what the teacher said. Teacher had said, Anyad eva tad vidita datho avidita adhadi. In the last time when we read, Brahman is something beyond known and unknown. It is neither known or not known. It's beyond that. So then he thinks, yes, he's very happy. I got it. I got now the idea. So manye viditam. He's so excited. Yeah, I have understood. So what's the content of his realization or conviction? That is expressed in the second mantra. So a lot of working has to be done. He ponders over it. And then he feels, and he has some sort of experience. And Shankara says, just like a fruit in the palm, he has the experience. So he comes to the teacher with a conviction and tells, Naham manye suvedeti, no navedeti vedacha, yo nastadveda tadveda, no navedeti vedacha. The disciple said, I do not think I know it well, nor do I think I do not know it. I know it too. It's missing there. He amongst us who knows the meaning of neither do I not know, nor do I know, knows Brahman. Oh, massive contradiction. Lot of contradiction. Just when you read, what's all this, we think? Because when you do not know something, you cannot say, I know it. And when you know something, you cannot say that I do not know it. And above all, Brahman, I believe, once you realize Brahman, all confusion, all doubts go away. And here, you feel as if this person hasn't understood. He's contradicting his words. Maybe he doesn't understand, or he's having some sort of hallucination. That's what we can think when we read it. But absolutely, there is no such contradictions. When we ponder over it, then we understand that there is no such contradiction. Because as far as the objective way of understanding is, we know it or we do not know it. When it comes to the Brahman, which is the subject, eternal subject, infinite, non-dual, it is something we cannot know as objective world, how we know the objects of the world. At the same time, we just cannot deny it because it is the innermost self of us all. How can we deny? We know we exist. None needs to tell. But we do not know what actually, truly we are. We know. Even a dying person knows, I am going. Who is that going? Has no idea, no understanding of that. What he means by I. I am going, certainly it is not body because it's getting out of it. So it's not, but what is that I? Have you ever investigated it? That's the point. That is what the Upanishad is asking us. When you are in this body, do it. Because we are endowed with intelligence. That's the only way. This is the only time we can work on it. So the next mantra, the third mantra. Now when this disciple says that, now the Upanishad stops this sort of format of explaining things as a dialogue, and the Upanishad takes over itself. This is the Upanishadic statement. It's not a dialogue between the teacher or the disciple. This mantra, mantra 3. Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya navedasah avijñātam vijanata vijñātam avijanata. He by whom Brahman is not known knows it. He by whom it is known knows it not. It is not known by those who know it. It is known by those who do not know it. So there are 4 things. There are 4 things. That is how problem comes to subjective things. To understand something which is very, very subjective. Because when you try to explain something subjective, you have to either explain in objective way or this sort of contradicting terms. Because it comes to explanation. But when it comes to realization, it's as simple. It's the most simplest thing. But when it comes to explanation, because there is 2 things. Somebody is teaching and somebody is learning. So that the minds, But whereas when experience is concerned, it's my own experience. I understand it, my experience. So that's clear with me. For example, if somebody asks you, how does chili taste? How many explanations, especially if you're a Westerner, you have finished. They cannot even comprehend that. So many, when you eat any chili, you will do like this, and the water will come in your mouth, the tears will, all these sorts of explanation has to be given. Better give the person to eat than. So experience is the only one which will make you correctly understand. But explanation always has some sort of contradictions. This happens. This is how the Advaitic Vedanta has to be lived, not just to be listened, heard. So, and the Yasya Matham, the 4 things are there. He knows it, who knows or conceives it not. One who knows that Brahman is beyond all conception. It's beyond conceptions and ideas. And he knows it not, who knows or conceives it. Yes, I know. Listen to a few talks. We know Advaita Vedanta. I read Vedanta. I know it very well. This is what happens. You learn, you hear, you sit and hear 100 lectures. Nothing will happen. And I think Ashtavakra Samhita, in that there is, he says, even if Brahma, Vishnu come and teach you, then also you will not understand, because you have to work. You have to do it yourself. You have to work on yourself, and you have to experience. Any amount of teaching will not do. If a bird has to fly, it has to learn. The mother cannot teach. A bit of digression, because the subject is very, very serious. I'm just telling just a story, little, not a story. In our Madras Mutt, usually before the bhajan goes, bell goes, 10 minutes we all are ready. Just we stay quite near the temple, and sometimes what we read and we talk, just like discussion. One day I was sitting and talking, I was standing and talking, and suddenly I saw a tiny little squirrel jumped and went. And behind it, another big squirrel went. I was wondering what. Then one of our sister who was observing, she said, the little squirrel, the mother is teaching it how to jump. But the little one is so afraid because it's from quite height. So it looks, Ori Baba, so deep. So it's so afraid, it's going near and it's peeping and coming back. It's peeping and it's coming back. So training academy is going on there. And finally, you know what the mother did? She just pushed the squirrel and it fell. And immediately she also jumped. And both mother and the little one again went. 3 times it fell. And by the time it had learned, that fear had gone. So this practice, the practice will make us to establish ourselves in that. We also will fall away from that. Our understanding will be different. And sometimes we fail to understand. Again, we try it. Again, we take up that. Because the subject is so subtle, it needs a lot of patience and effort on the part of the aspirant to do. And that is how we slowly get a clear concept of the Atman. So a concept or an idea is not Brahman. When a person thinks he knows Brahman, he has already formed a concept of it and does not truly know as it is, yathartha, as it is. It's not known. And he who truly knows, he knows that he can never comprehend Brahman as he comprehends an object. And this is what is. So, and we know this beautiful example of the story in last time also I said, because it is so relevant, the story. I repeat again. Sri Ramakrishna says about the knowledge of Brahman. A father had 2 sons and he sent the boys to the Gurukula, to the teacher's home to learn. The boys stayed for some time, learned. the knowledge of Brahman from the teacher and returned home. The father was happy that sons had come. So he asked the elder one, my son, you have been to your teacher and learnt everything. Now tell me what Brahman is. Immediately, the boy started quoting the Upanishad. Yatadadresham, agrahyam, agotram, avarnam, that which cannot be grasped by the hands, by the mind. So. He started quoting the scriptures. The father heard it. Then he asked his younger son, my boy, tell me, what is your understanding of Brahman? And the boy remained mute because he understood he cannot explain it. Then the father said, you have indeed understood something about Brahman. So, if non-understanding is the criterion of Brahmajnana, then what is the difference between an ignorant person and knowing one? A knowing one will say, I do not know Brahman. And an ignorant person also says, I do not know Brahman. Then what's the meaning? How do you differentiate? So the Upanishad gives its own verdict. That is the fourth mantra. In the fourth mantra, the Upanishad says, true, but it's true that we cannot know Brahman, but Brahman has left its footprints on the sands of experience. Atman has left its impression on the mind and the senses. So if you have lost if the cowherd lost his cow or sheep, what does he do? He starts going in search of it, and he can see the footprints of the cow, where the cow has gone. So taking that clue, he goes and gets back. So like that, the Atman has left its footprints on our psychophysical organism. By investigating that, we will be able to know. So pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amritam. Brahman is known when it is realized in every state of mind. For by such knowledge, one attains immortality. By Atman, one obtains strength. By knowledge, immortality. So we will come to the what do you call that diagram later on. So Atman as pure awareness is unchangeable witness of all our mental states, whether waking, dream, or dreamlessly. It is the Atman's light which falls on this mind buddhi. It is with every modifications, the Atman is realized, or we understand the Atman with every modification. So the Brahman's light, the Atman's light reveals the light that lights up the modifications of the mind. Every thought is a modification. So if a person doubts or negates Brahman, that doubting, that negation is also has to be done in the light of the Atman. The Atman is the self of the negator or one who has experienced. Both. If you doubt, you have to doubt in and through the light of Atman. Your understanding or your doubt also depends upon the light of the Atman. If the light of the Atman is not there on the buddhi will never function. So even to deny, you need Atman. Let alone asserting the self. Even if to deny the self, you need the self. Because the self is the substratum of the whole, be it our psychophysical organism or the world. So here, I tried to explain a few of the contents. See, Pratibodha Viditam, he said, with every mental modifications, the Atman is revealed. What actually is this? See, there are two types of knowledge. One is the subjective knowledge, knowledge of the self, and one is knowledge of the world, objective knowledge. The subjective knowledge is also of two types. The knowledge of the existence, knowledge of one's existence, astitva jnana. Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, ajnanena avritam jnanam. Knowledge is covered by ignorance. Knowledge is covered by ignorance. That is how the whole manifested universe comes. Consciousness associated with ajnana or ignorance is this universe. Consciousness by itself is always all-pervading, ever-existing. When the manifestation, the universe comes into, the cosmos comes into existence, what happens? Consciousness plus something has to be there in order to understand. And that plus something is the ajnana. And Shankara says, what is ajnana? It is something. You can't define. So it's something very positive. Because it is positive, we understand the universe. And it has positive. By positive, it means consciousness has to be there for the ignorance to work. And without ignorance, consciousness by itself will not give you any knowledge. Though Atman is knowledge itself, you will not have any objective knowledge until and unless there is a reflection. So this is what it is. Now, if we understood one, that when just for example, the sun, even though the sun is covered with clouds, still the light penetrates. In the same way, though Atman is covered by ignorance, its light penetrates. And that is how we get this notion, I exist. This is one sort of, I exist. This no one needs to tell me. It needs no proof. But I do not know what I truly means. The true nature, the swarupa, the nature of that I do not know. That's all. But I exist, this I understand. This is one sort of knowledge. And then comes, how do I know? What's the nature of it? So that is what Shankara says. We are not aware of our true nature. So this can be known only through scriptures. No other way you have got. That's only one way of knowing, that is through the Upanishad. He's very clear about it. In the Upanishads alone, you will get the knowledge of the Atman. You have a clear understanding of it. So in order to have the knowledge of the Atman, we study and we start with working hypothesis. Like we have got a conceptual knowledge. I said Brahman is beyond conception, I said. But to start with, you need to have some sort of conception. This is essential. And what we do is, with this conception, we start working on it, and then we convert this conception into a direct knowledge. That is called as aparokshanubhuti. Paroksha jnana, conceptual knowledge, indirect knowledge, mediate knowledge is converted into immediate knowledge. The mediation is removed. So all this is involved. So what the Shankara says is, once you get this conceptual knowledge, means thought, vritti. Vritti is it. So as soon as you get this vritti knowledge about the Atman, then you stop identifying yourself. You need nothing to do. Stop identifying yourself with the body and mind. This is what the Upanishad tells us. So this non-identification practiced with the help of the process of neti, not this, Brahman is this, not this, Brahman is not that, this way, through drik, drishya, viveka. When we start practicing this, through that, then the mind, it creates, and this is, I'm not coming to this. I'm not right now speaking to that. I'm just telling you about the Swarupa Jnana, how one acquires the true nature of our knowledge. So when this conceptual knowledge, through practice of austerities, brahmacharya, and studies and contemplation, we hear it from the teacher, Shravana, Then we contemplate on it as manana. And then we get the clear, crystal clear understanding of the Atman. And what happens is there is a knowledge vritti is formed. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of Brahman. And Brahman is undivided, akhanda, partless. Then you get a akhandakara vritti. This vritti, this modification removes the ignorance completely. And then the Brahman remains revealed. There's absolutely no obstruction through and through. The vastness of the Atman or Brahman is realized. This is, it's all, you'll not understand anything if I say this. It needs practice, analysis, studies, contemplation, again and again thinking. Now, Pratibodha Viditam, it said, because I have written Advaitic theory, that is why I went through all this thing. Now, the Upanishad speaks that the objects are revealed by the light of Atman. This much we understood, that in order to have the objective knowledge, the light of Atman is essential. It has to fall on the object. Only then the object. But the theory of knowledge or epistemology, whatever you can say, of Sankhya and Yoga, they say it is not enough that the light of the Atman falls on the object. No, there's something more. From the point of Sankhya, they do not say this, but Advaita Vedanta says. Here we have to understand it very clearly. I need a bit of your attention too. The Advaita Vedanta accepts this concept of the perception theory of Sankhya and Yoga, and they have got a few more processes involved in it. And then that is why it is said here, Advaitic theory of perception, not Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga, it also has. From them, they have deviated a bit. What it is actually, I'll tell you. To have any objective knowledge, modification of the mind is essential. To have any objective knowledge, the modification of the mind or the anthakarana is essential. This is according to the Sankhya philosophy. And it's like an axiom. Ekameva darshanam, khyatireva darshanam. There is only one way of seeing all what we see. All what we see. Either your ishta, your mystical knowledge, or the universe, or your hallucination, whatever you say. Everything. To see anything, there should be vritti jnana. What is vritti jnana? Modification of the mind. How does it happen? According to the Sankhya theory of perception, the modification of the anthakarana is known as vritti. When I say vritti, know it very well. I mean the modification of the mind. Because mind has such a tendency. It's natural with the mind. Anything, it takes the form of that object. It is so, what do you call, flexible like. It takes, only then we have the perception. For example, when the light falls on a chair, the light absorbs, the chair absorbs the light and it reflects back. It's the reflected light that we see. So in the same way, in order to understand, if the object, just the light falls on the object, it will not. When it reflects, then we get the knowledge. So the light of the Purusha, the Atman, then gets reflected on the vritti. The vritti is reflected. And then you get the object knowledge. Still further, I'll tell you now. Now here, and the two processes involved in this Advaitic vision theory is that, according to Advaita, consciousness pervades everywhere, isn't it? According to Advaita, consciousness is all-pervading. So the subject and the object both have consciousness. It's in the subject, person, and in the object too. When Sri Ramakrishna saw the divine consciousness, he saw the divine mother in himself, in the idol, on the slab, on the wall, on the altar. Everything was consciousness. We know matter condensed I mean, consciousness or the energy condensed is conscious, I mean, matter. So there is consciousness even in the object. Then there is consciousness within, subjective. So this is what? See, here, Pratyagatman is our consciousness. This is subjective consciousness. And that circle is Anthakarana, the mind. And that is I. Now there is an object. And that object, this is before perception. That object is covered by ignorance. Only when ignorance and consciousness work, then only their objective world universe comes. I told you, Maya Upahita Chaitanya. Consciousness associated with ignorance is this universe. So, ignorance is on the object also. We will not perceive that object because of the ignorance on it. But, and then there is the object, and ignorance is covering that object. But within the object is consciousness, objective consciousness. There is a subjective consciousness, there is an objective consciousness. And there is an objective ignorance too, the black. And that is the object. And what it is, we do not know. That is before perception. Now the perception starts. So I is there. Through the I, that object is there. And the mind goes towards the object. Followed? And the mind goes out and takes the form of the object. Takes the form of the object. Do you see? The mind is going and it has taken the form of the object. It has removed the ignorance and it takes the modification of the object. It takes the form of the object, which is called as modification, vritti. Simultaneously, the consciousness also goes. And that is called as Chidabhasa. Most of you who have studied Drigdrishya Viveka would be knowing. Chidabhasa goes and illumines that vritti. And then we know that it is a cow. So this is how it happens. During the perception, the Anthakarana means inner organ, which is here mind, goes out and removes the ignorance, the covering of the object, and takes the form of the object. Simultaneously, the light of the Pratyagatman, that is subjective consciousness, becomes one with the consciousness within the object. So you have got a unitary consciousness, one in the subject, one extension of the consciousness, and one is objective consciousness. When these three goes together, then the perception is, because this is Advaita, non-dual. Consciousness is non-dual. Advaita, one without the second. So the unitary consciousness, subjective consciousness, the extension of the consciousness, and the objective consciousness. Together, three together forms the perception according to the Advaita. This is called as Pratibodha Vidita. So the conclusion being, but see, for the sake of explanation, so much has to be explained. That the mind goes out and removes all ignorance, the covering is removed, then the light of the Atman simultaneously goes, so much of but it is done together. It doesn't happen by one after other. That's not the process. It simultaneously happens. And this has been happening every time with everything with us. From the morning, the moment you open your eyes, till you sleep. And of course, again, the dream is there. This is continuously going. It is so much. Every perception becomes a revelation of the Atman, if you understand it. That's what the Upanishad says. So it should be noted here that the several mental processes described are supposed to be taking place simultaneously together, not one by one. And another thing is noted is, it is the light of the Atman that reveals the object. This means every time you see an object, the Atman reveals itself. But owing to the ignorance, we do not give attention to it. I told you, perception means attention. If you give the attention to the object, you will perceive the object only. But if you give the attention to the subject, you are going closer within. So in order, because the outer world, the world of color, form, the five senses attracts, drags, it is so absorbing that we lose sight of the light that is illumining it. It's happening in my awareness, but I don't heed to it. I don't even look at it because my attention is only on the object. That is why it is said in Advaita Vedanta, first you have to have a certain amount of detachment. If the object is all absorbing, you will never attend to the subject. So in order to divert your mind towards the subject, we need to have certain degree of detachment. This is most essential thing even to have a theoretical understanding of Advaita. So, and because the object also has consciousness, that is why the object is able to impinge on us. Sat Chit Ananda expresses itself as Asti, Bhati, Priyam. It exists, it shines, and it gives joy. Because it is there, even in the object, that is why it impinges on our consciousness. If not, we would never be aware of it. So with every perception, with every mental vritti, modification, the Atman is revealed. Because without modification, there is no knowledge. Knowledge, seeing, is only modified. Reflected consciousness, reflected light is the only way of understanding. This is through that you try to understand the Atman. This is what the Pratibodha Vidita Matham, Atma, it says. And then one who understands the Atman becomes strong. All people, those who say we are strong, we are bold, we are all that, they have still fear. Why? Those dictators who rule the world, when they go, they have got bodyguards. Why? Fear is still there. They are all powerful. Still there is fear. Fear is everywhere. There's only one place which is not, there is no fear. That is Brahman. Brahman is Abhayam. Abhayam. When Janaka, the king, realized Brahman, Yagnavalkya, his teacher, says, Abhayam vai praptosi Janaka. Janaka, you have indeed attained fearlessness. Why fearlessness? Then you know you are infinite. Apart from you, nothing exists. Where is the fear? Fear comes when there is something other than me. When there is two, there's fear. When there is only one, where can fear come from? So this is the basis of morality. This is Brahman is fearlessness itself. Swamiji says, it's only in the Upanishads God has this epithet called Abhayam, fearlessness. So one who attains this Atman becomes fearlessness. We conquer death. We conquer Yama. Yama is no fear for us. Death is no, because we know we are deathless. So we become immortal. We gain energy, strength. Even the very little touch, a small touch of this Atman brings character, selflessness. And with this selflessness, how much you can do. People who are in power, they don't put all their, they don't invest all their energies in for the good of this country. Why? They have got their selfish motives. But a person who has the spiritual knowledge endows all his energy, time, everything, intelligence on that, and the nation develops. The nation progress. Why? Because that spirituality is behind. That's why Ranganathananda Maharaj always used to say, even a little touch of that will make you strong. Character efficiency will come. Care. All these things will come. And true morality comes only when we have at least a rudimentary knowledge of our Atman. So the last mantra I come, it was at a bit, it's tough. First time I'm also explaining to you and you're also hearing it. Might over and over when we ponder over it, the ideas will become clear. And now, the last mantra. Iha chedavedi tata satyamasti na chediha vedin mahati vinashti bhuteshu vichitya dhira pretyasma lokad amrita bhavanti. If a man knows Atman here, he then attains the true goal of life. If he doesn't know it here, a great destruction awaits him. Having realized the self in every being, the wise relinquishes the world and becomes immortal. That's the beauty of this. It's a great pronouncement of Vedanta that the truth has to be realized here and now, not post-mortem freedom or realization. That might be in the other paths, maybe the bhakti path. I go to Vaikuntha, where Lord Vishnu is there, or I may go to Krishna's abode, or Rama's abode, or Shiva's abode, and we go there and live happily in Krishna consciousness or Shiva consciousness. That is post-mortem. But the Upanishad says, how do I know that Atman is there? How do I know? When I have the psychophysical organism, when I am living in this, I need to understand, yes, I know I have realized. That's the proof. And the proof is phalena parichyate. To the effect, one can understand this person is a realized person. So if I can do it here and now, then it's a fact. It's a fact of experience. It's like a fruit in the palm of my hand. And if I don't do it, great is my loss. We think, oh, a person dies and again the next year he'll be born in another. It is not so. There are so many factors involved in order to be born. The fruition of karma. You have got baggages and baggages of karma behind. So we open one package, and that is this prarabdha karma. So we work it out. Good luck for us. We are born in this age. We have got perfect body. Imagine if there was some deficiency or some sort of, physical handicaps. How difficult it would have been. No, everything is fine with us. Economically, we are well off. Politically, we are well off. We have got a perfect body with all the organs functioning. And above all, blessed we are, we got Vedanta. Isn't it? After getting all this, if we have, still if we do not work on ourselves towards this goal, who is to be blamed? It's we. We are the losers. We have lost the opportunity which the nature gave us. And don't think nature is very free. She is very calculative. If we don't use, she'll say, off. Now go ahead. There are others in the line. You will have it later on. Christ said, if it's given, if you don't use it, whatever is given will be taken back. You remember that parable? The landlord gave a coin to everybody, and one kept under the cot and another one just gave back. But someone invested on it and earned it more. Then the landlord was pleased, he gave more. And those who didn't use, the landlord took it back. And what Christ says, you have given everything. If you do not use it, it will be taken back. So nature will not give the same chance. It will come, not the time will take a long time, because we got on from this, this, what is that one? Wheel. We sit in the Ferris wheel. So we sit in one chair and then it moves the other chair and then we go around. Then to come down, we come down and the next. If you want to go, you have to wait till the next chair is emptied. So in the same, it takes time. For the next baggage, whatever you have, the contents of the packet and all the forces have to be together. Then you enter, you get another manifest. So it takes long time. When we left the old body, we do not know how many centuries we have been waiting. It happens, it can. It's not that we die and then we get another body, no. So what is, when we are having this body and mind, is when we are endowed with this perfect psychophysical organism, we put effort and accelerate our spiritual progress. If we don't do, great is the loss, the Upanishad says. And see, in this verse, the Upanishad has a concern and compassion. It's rekindling. We might having a faint urge, but the Upanishad is trying to rekindle this urge in us so that we may attain to our goal or we may work towards that goal. This is the truth, that our true nature is Atman, and it has to be realized. And therein lies the purpose of we coming into the world. Now, for example, now let's see, we are born. Why are we born? Why are we born? Just to enjoy. What's the meaning of all this enjoyment? Parents, with all that affection, love, everything, one day they go away. Couples, married, everything. This one went that side, the other one went. What's the fun? If death is the end of everything, what is the fun? So naturally, a thoughtful person will inquire into. He will put existential question about him. What is this my coming here? What is this all doing? Where it is ending? What's the purpose of it? Is this all? Come, stay, enjoy for something, then you go and I go. You drift like the leaves and the twigs come in the water. They go together and then again they drift away. Is this? So we put questions and then we understand, no, there is something abiding in us. And that is what we truly are. And we invest all our energies towards that and we reach the goal. When we understand that our true nature is Atman, infinite, non-dual, in everyone, when we recognize that consciousness, then we are established in morality, unselfishness. That is the true morality. That is the true unselfishness. And that expresses itself in love and service. Then we attain to immortality. Even while living, we are free. We are aware of our deathless nature. So, Upanishad is asking us to dwell on these points and understand our true nature within the span of time we are in this world. Make best use of this psychophysical organism. With this, the second chapter of the Upanishad ends.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Sridharaprana ji. Very deep territory we went into today.
So I was trying to make it as simple, but I couldn't. Sorry. I couldn't.
So we've got time for questions, answers now. Yes, Fred.
I knew that it will be very tough. Couldn't help. Maybe I do not know how to put it.
Oh, no. I think that's not a bad effort. You said that rebirth is not automatic. it may take some time to get back on the Ferris wheel. So what happens in the times in between? So let's say I don't make full use of my time here and I'm due for a rebirth and I've got to wait to get back on the Ferris wheel. Well, what happens in that interval?
We remain in disembodied state.
Okay.
Remain in disembodied state. So many may be here.
Oh, okay.
Who knows?
Just
I do not have the perception. Maybe, especially this was the place where dead bodies used to be kept. So somebody might be, but they must have got liberation because so much of Ram Nam, so much of discussion about God, so much of things. So they must have been liberated. So don't worry, no one is here. Yeah.
I mean, Gayatri Pranaji says you don't ever go backwards, but the next step forward is not automatic.
See, many things are involved in it. So one thing is, it is not automatic because your karma and many things are involved in it. And we have something called as karmas are of 3 types. It's called as sanchita karma. We have packets and packets and packets and baggages of karmas unworked out. Only those things which can be worked out at a given time are taken sort of, this is done by whom? Not me and you. There is a person, karma phaladata, giver of the fruits of action. He is called as Ishvara. He is within all of us. His computer is very clear. There is no mess in it. So he knows our actions and it is there. And at a given time, what are the karmas that has been come to fruitification? That's brought, and then that is, you get the chance to work out it. When you get the chance to work out it, and we have come, and there are very good things in the baggage, like for example, as how I said, you've got a perfect body, perfect strong mind, a well-established character. You get the chance of hearing Vedanta. You get the help of a teacher. And then what we do? We progress. We work. We accelerate the evolution. But if you are still, if you have worked on it, you may even get it. You might start with, we may have some sort of desires, maybe there, all that. But when we get the knowledge, when we analyze, then we just can ignore them. So that is how we attain to desirelessness. And Holy Mother says, if you can become desireless, this moment you will become free. What is it which is holding us? It's the desires. Desires, when there are desires, then there is mind. When there is mind, then there is ignorance. So if you can be desireless, there's nothing for the mind to hold on. The mind becomes no mind. So when there is no mind state, one infinite consciousness is there. So this is how. And Buddha said, desire is the root cause. Dukkha. Why dukkha? Because of desire. Buddha made it very clear. Yes.
Just picking up on the language in the verse 5, if he does not know it, a great destruction awaits him. And I'm just wondering, that seems to be a little bit of hyperbole, a bit, is it a bit dramatic to try and encourage people to try harder? In reality, you're not going, if you've already on the path and you don't make full use of it, well, you're not going to be, well, it's using the word destruction. There's no destruction, of course, for us, but I'm gathering it's just like a shaking, giving you a shake.
Yeah, to enable you to get out of what you call complacency or procrastination. These are there. These are the ones which we make a progress, a little bit of concentration is there, and there comes a joy. And then what we do? Bah, very nice. Yes, Mataji, I do meditation and I really feel. This is only a means. The end is not there. End is different. See, in Sri Ramakrishna's life itself, you see. But of course, this is from another perspective. I'm saying Sri Ramakrishna had done all the sadhanas, and he had realized Mother Kali, and his mind quality is not our mind quality. It's entirely different. Such a pure mind. I would rather tell the story because that will soothe our mind. Too much of philosophy we had, abstract things. Sri Ramakrishna, after finishing all his sadhana, bhakti sadhanas, he was sitting one day on the steps of the ghat, just in a pensive mood, just he was sitting relaxedly. And a boat came, and Totapuri, a wandering monk, a Vedanta monk, he came and he got down. And because he had these wandering monks, they keep wandering to different holy places. What they do is they go to the holy places and bless that place by their spiritual power. So they contribute, they deposit there, and the others go and draw it. You know, two types of people go to pilgrimage: one to give, one to take. These great people, he's a knower of Brahman. So wherever he goes, he purifies that place. He gives his knowledge, power, spiritual power. He emanates from that. So that is the purpose of these realized souls going around on the pilgrimage. So like that, he had come to Ganga Sagar. So on the way, he was returning back to Punjab. So Rani Rasmani's temple was a Dakshineshwar temple, which was very welcoming all the wandering monks for its hospitality. So he came there to stay for a couple of days. And when he came, as soon as he got down and walked a few steps, he saw Ramakrishna sitting there. Immediately he recognized that here is a fine candidate for Advaita sadhana. The very look, very eyes of Sri Ramakrishna told. Clear eyes, absolutely nothing. So straight he went. Advaita sadhana koroge? Do you want to practice Advaita sadhana? Sri Ramakrishna said, I don't know. So I'll have to ask my mother. Okay, go and ask your mother and come. Sri Ramakrishna went straight to Mother Kali because he's a child of the mother. So mother said, yes, I have brought him. I have brought that fellow for you only. Now you go and learn. So Totapuri used to stay in one place only 3 days. So as soon as he sees Sri Ramakrishna, he felt an urge that he has to teach him. And very sick. And Sri Ramakrishna was, see, with all his realization, Sri Ramakrishna was intensely human. He said, I have a mother. When sannyasa, we give up parents, everything. We do the Shraddha ceremony for parents also. Even when they are leaving, we do it. So that might hurt the mother. She has, and he said, I have a wife. I have some responsibility to her. Then Totapuri said, very good. That's a test for to know evaluate your knowledge. How much of Brahmagnana you have, that's the test. No problem. And as far mother is concerned, you can do it secretly. That is why Sri Ramakrishna never wore even girva. Because his mother was alive. Maybe he must have worn the lion cloth at that time, whatever it is, we do not know. But then that he was so simple. So nothing outward. And he took him, gave him sannyas, and all the precepts of Vedanta he started teaching. And Sri Ramakrishna's mind was very perfect. Very clearly he could. He was the best student. So he could understand Totapuri as he taught. As I told you, there are 4 types of students. Some understand very clearly what the teacher teaches. Sri Ramakrishna would belong to that category. He understood it very well. Now finished, all the precepts were told. Then Sri Ramakrishna says in his own words, the naked one, because he was a Naga sadhu, they don't wear clothes. So Sri Ramakrishna, out of respect, they don't utter the Guru's name. It's disrespectful. So Sri Ramakrishna used to call his Guru, instead of Totapuri, he used to call it the naked one. So the naked one gave him the precepts. He gave me all the precepts. And then he told me, now, concentrate on the Brahman, which is attributeless, without name and form. Concentrate on it. And Sri Ramakrishna sat, closed his eyes. And the moment he closed his, it was not at all difficult for him. The moment he closed, all the eyes, ears, nose, everything shut its functions. Absolutely nothing. No ear will hear anything. The eyes will not see anything. Everything stopped. Here, that was no problem. But as soon as all the senses were closed and the mind got concentrated, there, the beautiful living image of the mother, why image? The Divine Mother started glowing in his heart. That beautiful, he did not have the heart to deny that form, because that was a very close, very intimate form. The form which he loved it. He said, Ishta. Ishta means, I love it. That's called as Ishta. It was his soul, life, his joy, everything was in that. So he didn't have the heart to get out of it. And the joy coming out, because she's Anandamayi, the very embodiment of bliss. So no sadhaka would ever go. Joy is that bliss. What more? After all, we all are, what are we craving for? Joy, isn't it? It's the joy which is tempting us to go out in the world. So when that joy is there, why will a sadhaka go? Refuse it. But ultimate reality has to be done. And he opens his eyes. He says, sorry, I couldn't do it. No, I can't. I can't get out of this one form. All the other forms I can deny. But this one form I'm not able to. And Totapuri being a hard nut, he was Kattar Vedanti. Very strong, hard Vedantis they are. What? You can't? How dare you say this? Just look, it's a small hut, all dirt things and all that. He got a piece of broken glass. He said, how can it be? He took the glass and he just pierced it on his forehead. Meditate on this point. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, that only we have to be happy by hearing what he said, that's all. I can hardly understand the depth of the experience. Anyway, Sri Ramakrishna says, and again I sat with firm determination. No, come what may. I will have to. And he sat there, and again the beautiful, the all blissful Chinmayi Murti, the image of full of consciousness, came in front of him. And Sri Ramakrishna says, I took discernment as the sword and cut the Divine Mother's form into two. So he broke it, means he went beyond name and form. And then in a second, the mind transcended space, time, causation. And it became one with infinite consciousness. Rather, it understood that it is one infinite consciousness, eternally there. So this is the Advaitic vision of Sri Ramakrishna.
Bit of time for some more questions. Anyone?
Don't think anything else is needed to understand. Yeah, I wanted to finish it in a very nice, sweet mood with very hard, abstract ideas. So we have something. So Sri Ramakrishna worked, and he showed that you have to go beyond name and form, however dear your Ishta might be, and you understand the one consciousness within your Ishta, and you are one and the same. So this is non-dual, Advaita. Very tough, very easy, but at the same, very hard. Thank you.
This coming week, we've got the fortnightly Bhagavad Gita discussion on Friday night, which will be led by Sridharaprana. We got the final yoga class on Thursday morning for the year. Next Sunday, there'll be the monthly Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna talk, which Sridharaprana will be giving. And then in October, by the way, next weekend, remember daylight savings. Spring forward, push clocks forward 1 hour on this coming Saturday night. Then through October, we've got a number of special events. On the 8th of October, pilgrimage east and west. We've got a panel. Sridharaprana will be talking about her pilgrimage in India. And then we've got our good friend, Ron Regal, who's a very experienced pilgrim. He's undertaken pilgrimages in Japan, Israel, and Spain. We'll hear about that. And then his partner will be coming, Vicky Hansen, and the two of them, they've got a group called India Jiva, and they'll be performing some live music. So that's a very special event on Sunday, the 8th of October. Then 15th of October, there'll be the next monthly Upanishad talk. 22nd of October, we have the Durga Puja celebration, very special event. Last Sunday of October on the 29th, again, Sridharaprana will be talking about India and pilgrimage, and it'll be a bit of a travelogue as well from her visit this year. So we have all of that to look forward to in October. All these events, of course, will be all detailed some of them already being detailed in our weekly email. So thank you for joining us today. Thanks to those who joined us via Zoom.